Chair, Ngamihinui kia koutou. Lovely to be here, and it was good to see many of the board members this morning at the blessing for the Western Springs Resource Recovery Centre, which has been a very long time coming, that project. 10 years in the making, and I know that many people here have been part of that project right from the beginning, including Chair Northey when you were a councillor, and put forward a very worked on the first waste management and minimisation plan, and was in the first local war plan to have that resource recovery centre. So it was great to see so many of the local community down there this morning, and we were also able to acknowledge Caroline Robinson, who passed away about just over a week ago, who was very instrumental in that project, and also worked on the design of Skypath. So it was very sad that she passed away recently. I do have my report on the agenda, so I do take that as read, but I've got a few additional updates. In terms of Queen Street, this is really very relevant to the tactical urbanism discussion and Member Trotman's question about what's happening regionally. There is going to be a media release coming out later today about the results of the survey that took place, just to I guess do a sense check on were the principles that came out of the co-design process, that stakeholder representatives, there was large participation in that process of co-design. I know members of the local board were part of that. I think Member Bonham, you're the local board rep, came up with co-design principles that resulted in a design for the trial on Lower Queen Street. And that survey results, about 900 people responded, and it did show very strong support for the original design that is currently being implemented. So I think what it showed is that there are some very clear principles around access, pedestrian space, around the look and feel, and ensuring that those are followed through with the design. So that media release is going to come out, should be any time soon. In terms of tactical urbanism generally, and I think it's worth noting that the reason why this, Queen Street has got some very unique needs in terms of the fact that we're about to close Victoria and Albert Street for the City Rail Link work, and so there's going to be a whole lot of new bus movements that we have to accommodate in the city centre, and we also know that we're trying to move towards a zero emission zone, access for everyone. We're moving ahead with the city centre master plan principles, and so this is facilitating, that trial facilitates that. It also supports our residents who live in the city centre, who very much are saying to us they want to reduce the pollution on Queen Street, the noise of traffic, and that pedestrian space is good for business. So just generally across the region in terms of those innovating streets projects, what is great about them is that this is really great value for money for the ratepayer. Every dollar that we put in, we get $9 of funding, and that's one of the reasons that business associations have supported this process. So in terms of Ponsonby Business Association, Ponsonby Business Association, as you know, led the application, and the only reason that they made the application was supported because it was fronted by the Business Association.
Oh, for goodness sake, Pippa.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if there's any point in me continuing if I'm going to be heckled from the audience, but
must not interrupt.
and also there's some audience members who don't like facts, and I can give them some more facts if they would like. Also want to acknowledge Sawala, who I actually met doing an urban guerrilla gardening project in Grey Lynn.
Yeah, we were
And
tidying up Grey Lynn.
We were doing urban guerrilla gardening, which
No,
is
I was
something.
the working bee coordinator.
Well, you've had your turn.
Well, she
No,
couldn't
it's
change,
just
it wasn't
information.
urban gorillas.
I wasn't urban
were doing
gorilla.
No, no, you
gardening
must be quiet.
I was
private
the
property.
coordinator for the working bee.
So, just in terms of, so one thing I'd just like to mention about
Yeah.
Westland, we have heard some I've met with the Business Association representatives recently who gave some very strong feedback around how their businesses are doing actually very well.
Oh, for goodness sake.
But we're gonna back this up with
That's the Wala, you.
It was me, and I'm really happy to go, because I can't stand listening to these blatant lies.
Oh,
Pippa
come on.
doesn't have a business, she set up the Greyland
You're
Business
disturbing the
Association to
operation of
support
this
her
meeting.
issues,
Please
and
be
that's what's
quiet
going
and
on.
respect our procedures.
Just a load of shit, and if you believe it, then you're even
Disruption.
stupider than I think you are.
No, it wasn't me, and I like
Okay, I
that corrected,
apologise for that,
please.
Sawala, but it
Thank
was you before.
Wasn't me.
So I'm very keen to have data, and one thing that I have been pushing for is for Auckland Transport to pay for market view research to actually, so that we can have some data, because that will back up what has been the impact of changes in the Westland shops. So I think board member Gunham, what's your name? Gunham.
There's a mix of two of us.
It was a good merging. Graham has been, is in the loop on that, because that will be really great if we get that, Auckland Transport to fund that.
That she does not dog me in on anything. But I was the coordinator for the working bee, not gorilla gardening.
Yeah, so it'd be great to have some data, and also just around, this kind of constant who says, she says, because I know businesses of Westland really don't appreciate being told that their businesses are failing when that's not actually the case. Because it is actually a really humming local centre.
Harvest would disagree with you.
So, third area I just wanted to touch on was the release yesterday by the Chief Executive of the Auckland Council Wellbeing's Report holder, and I think you've all received a copy of that. And councillors had a briefing on that on Monday with the Mayor and the Deputy Chief Executive as well. And I'm still working through that report, but in terms of the recommendations, the response from councillors was very much that this is a time for us to reflect about our own actions, and that we should collectively do everything we can to support the well-being of staff. And I think that was a real feeling of consensus around the councillor. This was in a briefing environment, particularly around managing employees' exposure to antisocial and aggressive conduct, whether from the public or within council. And we're all very much aware of the impact of that kind of conduct, and just how it can have a really negative impact on the well-being of staff. And I think it was really fantastic to hear from councillors that we all just feel we need to reflect, and we need to act on the recommendations and whatever we can be doing in terms of our role and our conduct. And I've already seen that around the council table, that a lot of the bullying that used to be, you used to see around the governing body table is not now tolerated, and just the way that we interact with staff is I think everyone's trying to up their game, but a lot more that needs to happen. And just to note, this is a report that was kicked off because we had 2 people lost their life in their workplace as a result of their workplace last year. So this report is about the well-being of staff. So I recommend having a look at that report, and how you would choose to discuss that in your own local board. But I think that's probably enough from me. I do apologise that I can't stay for your meetings on a Tuesday. I usually do have a clash, and this afternoon it is the CCO Oversight Committee. where we're hearing the quarterly reports of all the CCOs. And looking at how we're drafting the SOI, the SOIs with CCOs and the targets that need to be in there. So it is a significant meeting that I need to be at, so apologies that I can't stay for your meeting. But it's a shame that Sally Ann left, because I did want to acknowledge her work. It was great working with her, and it's fantastic to see that support continues for TAPAC. Ngā mihi, thank you. And if I can't stay to answer anything, I will take it off. I will take a note of any questions.
Say you can or you can't.
I can probably just stay for a few more minutes, but I really do need to go.
Thank you. Well, it was really good context that you're talking about mental health when a member of the public slit her throat in front of me while doing eye contact and then pointed at me, you know, so I'm a little bit distraught. Now, Councillor Coom, just because I'm so stupid and I don't understand what Innovating Streets for People is as a tactical urbanism project and the streetscape upgrade of Great North Road, could you please explain the difference of those two projects to me? Because it seems like I can't understand what was told just before.
No, well, it was there was so much misinformation in what was presented before that it would be difficult for me to go through it in this meeting, but to confirm that there is no tactical urbanism project planned for the Greyland shops. There's no project in the Greyland shops. The Great North Road project ends at Crummer Road, which is before the Greyland shops. One of the presenters before has previously protested about the removal of car parking in Greyland shops. It was actually the installation of parking when there was 6 new car parks were installed in the Greyland shops, and that was the last project. So there is nothing, as far as I know, funded or planned for the Greyland shops.
Sarah?
Thank you for your report, Councillor Coom. You commented on bullying by councillors and also the wellbeing report and the importance for the need of facts. And just for the record, in my opinion, your recent Facebook post on Erebus Memorial, was the exact type of bullying that the CEO was talking about in his wellbeing report. And it makes a really good example of it. Yes, I do have a question. It's not okay for a councillor to put on Facebook, get on Facebook and covertly bully constituents and provide misinformation. So, my question is this. Your post talks about a small vocal group in opposition of the Erebus Memorial going into Duffmeyer Robinson Park. Are you aware that there's a petition going to Parliament on Thursday and it has 12,000 signatures? Sorry?
Yes, I'm aware there's
You
a
are?
petition.
Okay,
Yes.
doesn't sound like a small vocal group to me. You said on your Facebook post that a respectful process was carried out, and for the record I completely disagree with you. That our own chair did his whip around and then communicated that in some way to the Ministry of Culture and Heritage as a really good example.
I'm sorry, we're not getting questions.
Can
I will
I
move that the Waitemata
I'm
receive
sorry,
the written
you're shoving
report
me
and
down and
verbal
it's not
update.
acceptable.
This is a place for questions.
Here is my question. Context is
question.
everything.
No, it's not. Ask the question.
The question is, can I ask that you do not post aggressive messages under the guise of informing your friends on Facebook about matters that have come to this local board? It's a yes or no question.
It's not an aggressive, I was very respectful in my post, and as I said in my post, it was for my Facebook friends, because I
You
wanted
are
to
a
give support.
councillor talking about a matter that has come
Yep.
to
And I
our
have a
local
different,
board.
and I thank you, Member Trotman, but I have a
Is it a
different
yes
view.
or no answer?
I have posted very respectfully, and I have not attacked anybody.
I will table the Facebook post
You're
for my
welcome to that.
report later on, thank you.
Oh, you're doing a report. I look forward to reading your first report. That would be
I
great.
think that's the sort of bullying, councillor,
I
that
will
the
move
chief
that the
executive
Waitemata
has
local
issue
board
with.
receive the written report and verbal update from the Waitemata and Gulfwood Councillor Pippa Coom. Do we have a seconder? Seconded Graham. All those in
There
favour
might
will
be
say
more
aye.
questions.
Contrary no, that's carried. Thank you. Are there any requests for